Great question. For those of you who couldn't hear the question, essentially the first part of the question is how can you start? Can you?
I think it was with all the help that there is, with all the people trying to achieve the MDGs, why is it that these problems still persist? And how, or if that's not succeeding, then what could make us possibly think that the youth can make a difference here?
Great. In my opinion, if you continue to approach a problem the same way, you're going to continue to get the same result. And the reason for poverty in certain areas or for certain things is so much deeper and more complicated than just what the result is. So in each issue, there's more underneath it. There's often, for instance, there is religion, there is culture, there is tradition that is wrapped up in a lot of communities and societies, and there's sometimes language barriers, and not like language barriers like our national languages, but like real language barriers, like Aboriginal. I'm living in the bush. This is my language with my small community. How does one come and communicate and really immerse themselves in those communities and so forth? So I'd like to start by saying that sometimes the issues are truly more complicated than just what they seem like. Two, throwing money at a problem has not worked, and we understand that. So having wealth and throwing money, and we can see isn't the answer. And the reason why I believe that the youth can make a difference is because a young person came up with Facebook. A young person is responsible for my yearbook. I mean, young people are responsible for so many new innovations. And I think that young people, especially those who can move out of their own way, can move outside of their cliques, can move outside of their families, and really see the world as a whole and see that each of us individually was given something that, if we figure out what it is, can really make a real contribution. So I feel like if young people find that thing and actually move towards it and garner support, that you will do it differently. And that's the only way that it is going to get accomplished. It's not going to get accomplished by going down the same path that we've gone down before. We need trailblazers. We need a new set of eyes. And as far as the financial aspect of it, I don't know the answer to that.
I'm sure you'd agree that everyone in this room has the potential to be a journalist.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it really, yesterday, I held a forum at the St. Thomas University.
Yeah, university.
Yeah, it's like the 400-year-old university. Oh my gosh, crazy being there. There was a youth forum there, and one really amazing aspect was that young people stood up. There were 4 presentations on what Filipino youth are experiencing. And one of the presentations was on apathy. Was on apathy towards political issues and development. And I think that really is the reality, is that we have to really start caring. You have to care as much about the world as you do about whether or not Justin Bieber is really coming here in 2 months. Or whoever, or what's going on with somebody in Hollywood, or things like that. We have to actually put our attention towards those things and not just expect other people to do it so that we can follow along. We have to go home and look it up. Go home, and tomorrow, if someone said, hey, what are the MDGs? You should be able to go, oh yeah, I looked that up last night because I didn't know, and now I do, and I'm kind of passionate about this one. And even if it's one little thing, like I'm going to turn my lights off, or I'm going to volunteer once a month, that's something.
Any other questions? We'll go back to the back and come back to the front in a bit. Romero's got one.
First of all, I love your hair. do you think that the change starts now?
I think that the change, we're a little late. I think the change started a little while ago. And I don't think that our objective should be to try to change anyone else. That's, I think, part of the problem, is that if you wait to try to change the people that came before you, you might be waiting a long time. So, instead, I think it's important to lead by example and to do something today. When I was 15 years old, I got in trouble at summer camp. I'm not going to tell you what I did because it's inappropriate. But I got in trouble at summer camp. Not awful. I mean, it wasn't like the worst or anything, but I'm writing a book, it'll be in my book. But yeah, so I totally got in trouble and I got kicked out. I was 15. Horrible. And I remember like thinking that I was gonna die, and that my mom was gonna kill me, obviously, because it was a very prestigious summer camp and I was on a scholarship because I couldn't afford to be there. So my whole, and it's 3 days before graduation, go figure. And I remember coming home and being like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to walk out of my room. And then all of a sudden this light bulb went off. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. Because I didn't really think that what I did was that bad. I still don't think that what I did was that bad. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to let this hold me down. I'm not going to let this, change the course of my life just because you think that I made a mistake. I'm not bad. I did something that someone may perceive as being a certain way, but that's not who I am. So I decided, when I'd gone into this summer program, I'd started writing a play. I was inspired by Whoopi Goldberg. She did this really cool one-person play. And I decided I wanted to do the same thing. But while I was at camp, I was too busy having fun, and I didn't continue to write it. So when I got kicked out, I finished the play in a couple of weeks. I solicited the first theater that I'd ever performed in to lend me the space to perform. I went around and got ads from the community to support the play, to put in the program. And I was able to raise enough money in one night doing a one-person play for an hour and 15 minutes to put myself through my next year of private school. Sometimes it's in that breaking point. Sometimes it's in that place where it feels hopeless or you don't know what to do. Instead of fighting the school that kicked me out, instead of trying to get them to understand my point of view, I took control of my own life and made a decision. And that's what I would suggest for all of us, that instead of beating up against the same door, we all hear this, find a window, find whatever, or just leave that room to someone else and go somewhere and build your own from the ground up.
Jordan. When I was doing High School Musical, I had no idea what was going to come after it. I really thought that it was going to lead me down a continued path that was just about movies and acting and things like that. I really didn't see it as an opportunity to open other doors. And it was a lot of fun, but the reality is that I was 24 when I booked the movie. So I was significantly older than the rest of the cast. As I told you, I had not paid my bills in months. My perspective was just a little bit different than everyone else's. And also, because I was so much older and I was working for Disney and I didn't know that there were going to be 3 movies, I kind of played the same character off screen that I did on, as to not be found out that I was like the old one. So I kind of played down a little bit. I didn't talk very much, and I was very young, I just adopted a very young kind of attitude. But then the second movie happened, and then the third movie happened, and then it was like, oh my gosh, how long am I gonna have to walk around talking like this, So it was a lot of fun, but it was also real life. My life was still the same. I was still the same person in all of it.